Welcome to Let's Talk Climate. I'm Rebecca Rear, Director of the Climate for Health program at ecoAmerica. And while we're all tuning in virtually, I am hosting this episode from just outside of Washington, D.C., on lands shepherded by the Nacotchtank and Piscataway people. I'm looking forward to today's topic, climate, health, and art, climate creators to watch in 2022, with our guests, Kip Pastor, founder and CEO of Pique Action. Hi, Kip.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, glad to see you. Skye Flanigan, program manager at Harvard Chan Sea Change, where she leads the center's work with the entertainment industry. Hi, Skye.
Hi, Rebecca. Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you both for being here today. And we're actually co-hosting today's episode with the Center for Climate, Health, and the Global Environment at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health, because in partnership with Pique Action, they just released a list of climate creators to watch in 2022. Kip, I was intrigued by the vision on Pique Action's website. Imagine a world where climate change has already been solved. Tell us a little bit about founding Pique Action and working with Harvard Chan Sea Change on the climate creators list.
Absolutely. I think that there is so much doom and gloom around the conversation on climate. And, for all of you guys listening, I'm sure you're tired of seeing polar bears floating away on icebergs and fires and hurricanes. And, I think what we want to do at Pique is to change the conversation to be focused on what we can do. So that's us as individuals, everybody listening, and then also on a more macro scale, governments, collective action. And so we want to talk about the human ingenuity that is inspiring us, mind-blowing technologies about sequestering CO2 in concrete, or putting them in diamonds and having award-winning vodka, utilizing carbon as a resource in a different way. And, actually on our launch day, we got an email in our contact form from the Harvard Sea Change folks, and they were excited to talk, and we were very excited to talk with them. So we dove in right away.
Well, that's great. And I'm hearing that diamonds and vodka are involved in solving climate change. So you can count me in. And that's
the idea.
Yeah. My husband will dispute on the diamonds piece, but I think we can, but I think that sounds great. And I think, the thing you started with, people, ditch the doom and gloom. It's a tip that we, give also in our climate communications tips. And I think, Gina McCarthy, who's now works in the White House on domestic climate policy and former director of Harvard Sea Change, I heard her years ago say, I've never met a polar bear, but I've met lots of people. And that's what climate change, climate solutions are all about. And so really appreciate the focus on people. And that Pique Action and Harvard Sea Change are really, working together for that focus on people. And so Skye, I wanted to ask you about two Harvard Chan Sea Change initiatives. So first is the newsletter called The Climate Optimist, which is such great framing. And the second is Real Science, that's REEL Science, which is your collaboration with the entertainment industry to talk about climate change. So talk about the framing and goals of these communications tools.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here, especially with Kip. Right when he launched Pique Action, we immediately resonated with everything they're doing because it's something that we've been working on for a long time. Our center has been around for about 25 years, but we started the Climate Optimist when Gina McCarthy was our director. Now she's the National White House Climate Advisor. And you can't help but feel optimistic by listening to Gina, because the reality is it is about people. It's not about polar bears in far off places. While we love polar bears and we love the Arctic, the reality is it's affecting us here at home. I mean, I'm currently located in Colorado, and we had wildfire smoke from California all summer here. I was back in Boston. We also had wildfire smoke from California this summer. I mean, what better way of understanding that climate is impacting health than seeing it firsthand? And I think that there's a real awakening right now, but there's also a really, really toxic way of looking at it in my mind, where people are just getting so freaked out by what's going on. And I don't blame them. Like, it's very, very scary. I hear it all the time from my friends and family talking about how climate change is so depressing and so scary. And I agree, and we are very aligned with Pique Action at Harvard Sea Change, where we really want to focus on solutions because we think that that can drive change. And it's very exciting, the climate solutions that are out there. The fact that you can sequester carbon to make diamonds, like, that's amazing. And we have to be highlighting those kinds of things. So we have two different initiatives that you mentioned. One is our Climate Optimist. That's our monthly newsletter that we just focus on solutions. We do not include all the bad stuff that's happening because we know the bad stuff will be covered by the media. Let's be real. So we want to make sure that people feel inspired and have a quick and easy read. And we definitely try to bring a lot of humor to it. The other piece is that we recognize as scientists that we need to get out of our own little bubble, and scientists are not always the best communicators. So we need to partner up with people that know how to communicate about climate change and do it in such a way that inspires people and it does not make people want to hide under a rock. So we've been working with the entertainment industry for the past couple of years because we recognize that their audience reach is so much farther than any scientist that you can ever imagine. I mean, I know a lot of scientists got a lot of airtime during the pandemic, but other than that, our ethos is pretty small. So we want to find people that know how to create creative content, compelling, humorous, exciting, solutions-oriented content. So we decided that what better way to do it than partner up with folks in the entertainment industry. So you have our Real Science program, and the Climate Creators fits into that program. So we, as Kip mentioned, we immediately got in touch with them when they launched their initiative because it's totally aligned with what we're doing. And it's been very exciting to look through all of these climate creators that are using facts, but doing it in such a way that it's creative and it's funny and it's entertaining and it's thought-provoking. And so, we really believe that the solution is to highlight solutions and to stop talking about how we're all going to burn up, because it's not about polar bears, even though we love them. As I said, we want to talk about people, we want to talk about health, and we want to talk about what we can do.
And I think just to jump in, we aren't scientists and we're not engineers. We are the storytellers. So, a partnership like this is really beneficial for us. It's really important that we kick the tires on the companies that we want to profile and the stories we want to tell, so that we're not elevating a Theranos. We want this to be something that is hard science and that's grounded. And with that climate list, it's incredible because the climate is not an industry and it's not a sector, right? It's just a lens that we can all see all industries. And this list is a really diverse list in terms of how people want to approach the audience. You have scientists that want to communicate, you have comedians that want to communicate, and great storytellers. And I think that is what makes this list so interesting, is that everybody has a really creative and unique way of communicating. And I get inspired all the time. So I think that the more that I can watch that's bite-sized, that provides me with that entertainment and a little bit of education, is a winner.
And the creators work across different kinds of media, right? So there's some, some film, and then some, tell me a little bit more about some of the art forms that the creators are featured or using.
Yeah, I can jump in, and Kip, please feel free to add. But we were looking at across social media platforms, primarily on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And it is interesting because, each one of those different platforms has a different approach that you can take with it. So it's been, yesterday we had all of the climate creators on a call with us yesterday, and even some of them admitting they don't know how to use TikTok, but Instagram has really been the place that they found their purpose, and then vice versa with, some creators who have just really found their way on TikTok. And as someone that is a little bit older than the average TikTok user, although I really, really love TikTok, I would say it takes a very creative person to make a short, informative video. And I am so impressed by the people on there doing what they're doing. I like Kip, get really inspired by these folks.
And look, I think that what's nice about the different platforms, like Rebecca, you are saying that you are not a deep TikToker yet, but the reality is that that you can connect on YouTube. Wherever your platform is, whatever demographic you're trying to communicate with, there's a lot of different opportunity. And so I think that's what's important, because it transcends wherever you want to find it, and they make it in such a small, digestible format that it doesn't take a lot of time.
Yeah, I think that's key. I think that's really important these days, if you will, to reach people where they are, when everyone just always has so much going on and has, and I'll fully admit to, going down the video a black hole of, there's you go cute animals, you click, and 30 minutes later you've watched however many videos. So it'd be great to have a couple in that feed where I'm okay, cute animal, oh, climate solutions, oh, okay, another cute animal, and babies sucking on lemons, like that. It's like there's funny stuff out there, but it'd be great to have that mixed in with some really useful and tangible things that people can do for this, and they're not just turning on the news and seeing the doom and gloom and feeling so overwhelmed that they can't take action, right? And I appreciate your remedying what some of the framing that the media has put out there in terms of the doom and gloom framing, and encouraging people to look up, right? So I think and I wanted so much of what you're doing to reach people. I wanted to talk a little bit about some research that ecoAmerica just did that revealed that while 45% of Americans are very concerned about climate change, only 14% say those around them are concerned, right? So this is a 30-point gap in reality. So people are actually concerned, but don't realize others around them are. And that can lead to feelings of isolation and even division. So what you're doing is working to close that gap, really. And that's how I see it. And I want to ask your advice to others. What maybe others want to start a podcast or YouTube channel or some other communications tactic. What would it look like to reach everyone every day on climate solutions? So Skye, why don't we start with you?
Just talk about it. I mean, the fact that there is a gap between what people think they're concerned and then what their neighbors think they're concerned is to me just like the most obvious way of saying, like, people are not talking about this enough. We need to make climate and climate solutions kitchen table issues. Mm-hmm. So, making sure that you are talking about the exciting new innovation in X, Y, Z with your friends and family, you might then recognize that they're also thinking about these things. And, Gina McCarthy always kind of joked that we shouldn't treat climate like religion, where it's shunned. It's like it needs to be out there in the forefront. I think it's part of it is just picking it up and talking about it. Another big piece is who the messenger is. Mm-hmm. So, we work a lot with doctors because doctors have proven to be very effective messengers in the past. And so trying to get doctors to communicate with their patient about the health impacts of climate change has proven to be very successful in some of the work that we're doing. But also look at these creators. I mean, they have found their own unique voice in the way that they talk about it, in the way that they want to highlight solutions or the problems, but like also, making it funny or making it like, something that like people can relate to. It's so much more than just like these really, really massive problems. It's really about like everyday life and like how we can get involved, what actions we can individually take, what parts of like, can we advocate to our local government, or can we advocate to our company that we work for to incorporate some sort of climate conversation in our day-to-day life. So I think, of course, you're going to find those people in your life that are going to be climate skeptics. And, there's always going to be opportunities to bring people around. And then there's opportunities to just let it go. You don't have to convince every single person, but the more that we talk about it, the more it becomes normalized and the more people feel empowered to take action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kip.
Yeah, I think all of that's exactly right. I mean, I think at Pique, the idea of changing the conversation is creating as much content as we can to talk about all the things that are happening, because there are things that we can do individually, but there's a lot that we can't. And so it's really helpful to know what else is going on out there, all the brilliant people that are working on it in different ways, how we can transition our skills into climate, how we can learn how to invest in climate and build resilience in our lives. And so the more content, the better. And that elevates everything. And I think when we were putting together this creator list, one of the really interesting takeaways for me is, man, there is a lot of opportunity to create more content. There's a lot of white space. Everybody has their own lens, their own voice, their own experience, and all of those are relatable. So we want more creators. We want this list to be as competitive as it can be moving forward. We want it to have to be the top 100 content creators of climate, because everybody has something to share. And these tools, TikTok is inaccessible to some folks, but it's entirely accessible to others. And it's that great opportunity to share how you're feeling and what you're thinking about.
Yeah. And it sounds like reaching everyone every day involves a lot of meeting people where they are, and sort of the different content, the different messengers that are going to reach different people that need to receive that message. And I so appreciate ending on a note of systemic change as well. What we say at ecoAmerica is that, from the moment you lift your head off the pillow to the moment you put it back at night, there's so many decisions you can make as an individual to act on climate in your daily life. And we need to act on systemic change as well. So whether that's through advocacy, it's a great example. But I think, that systemic change to make solutions accessible to everybody, and to have climate solutions be a tool for health equity, is a really important piece. And it sounds like that's woven throughout the creators' messages as well. So we're at the end of our time already, but I know you have inspired our listeners to be bold, to engage in different types of media, and prioritize climate solutions to improve our health and our families' health. Thanks so much, Skye and Kip, for joining us as our guests. We're grateful for everything you shared here and for your ongoing work to build awareness on climate and health impacts and actions. For all of our listeners, check out the description below. We'll include a bunch of links in a blog on Climate for Health website that will that Kip and Skye mentioned today, and a link to the climate creators list, so you can check them out, check out the great things that they're doing, and be sure to subscribe and follow us for the latest thought leadership resources and episodes on climate action and advocacy. From all of us at ecoAmerica, Climate for Health, Pique Action, and Harvard Sea Change, thank you. Please join me in caring for our climate in order to care for our health. Stay well, stay safe, and get active. Thanks.
Thank you.